Hello, happy Saturday, everyone. We are going to be joined with Nikki May. I think she's here.
Hello,
Hi.
hello.
How are you? Let me fix my camera here. Let me squish down a little bit.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, Jamise. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I think I can make sure I got your connection all good and everything. So
Cool.
Oh, I love your background.
Oh, those are my two dogs, Fellow and Lola.
Yes, and then the UK edition of Wahala and the US. Yes, it looks amazing.
My narcissistic wall.
I am so happy to have you join us today. You are our final book in the summer reading series for Diverse Spines. And what a book.
Oh, thank you. I'm flat. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I read it at the beginning of the year and I just could not put it down. I thought it was so entertaining.
Good.
And I know people out there in the audience, you probably experienced reading a book where you're actually talking to the book and talking and yelling at the characters.
Shaking them I was when I was writing it.
Yes, shaking them like, wake up, like, what is the problem? So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into it without giving away any spoilers, because I definitely think that this is a book that everyone should read. It's a perfect beach read. It's a thriller. It's just so much more I wanted from the story. So I'm going to do a quick introduction. Welcome everyone to the August Spine of the Month book chat. This is the final book in our summer reading series. We've had a fantastic series and it's perfect to end with this book, Wahala by Nikki May. It is her debut and it is a wonderful debut. Thank you so much for joining us. And I want to open the floor to you so you can tell the audience a little bit about yourself, because this pivot to fiction, you did something before that.
I did. So I worked in advertising all my life, although before that, like one of my characters, I actually dropped out of medical school. And I grew up in Lagos in Nigeria, where education is everything.
Yes.
And you have to have a degree, but not just any degree. You have to be a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant. You can't just be any old thing. So when I dropped out of medical school, my dad was completely freaked out and he was like, you're on your own. If you don't go back to medical school, you're on your own. You're wasting your life. So I ran away to London and joined an advertising agency, and I worked in advertising pretty much all my career, which is a really good start for a writer, because you have to write quite a lot. I wrote a lot of copy, but also you get used to criticism, you get used to being edited, and you get used to thinking of writing as a job rather than as fun.
Right. And so being in advertising for the majority of your career, what led you to writing this novel? Like, where did the inspiration come from?
Well, I've read a book a week probably since I was 10 years old. So I've always loved reading. I've always loved books. To me, it was an escape. It was relaxing. It was escaping. It was also visiting places that you wouldn't really go. So I loved reading. And I always had this, I'd like to write a book one day. And I wanted to see people like me in the book. I wanted to see people who were mixed race, who had two cultures and were straddling two different worlds, and sometimes belonged in one of them and sometimes didn't feel that they belonged in either. And very often the black character or the brown character is a side chick or a detective that comes in, or the person who gets murdered. And so I wanted my brown girls to be front and central. And I also wanted to write a book where it's not all about trauma. It's not about being a maid or being a house girl or slavery. I wanted something a bit joyful, a bit funny, a bit entertaining. So I wanted to write the kind of book I wanted to read. Big Little Lies is probably my favorite ever TV show. So I wanted a Big Little Lies, something that'd be quite page-turnery, quite fun, but also where the color of my characters was almost irrelevant. They were just women that happened to be brown rather than the story was about them being brown.
Right. And that comes across. I mean, there's a lot of other things in the book, but I like that you said you wanted a brown Big Little Lies. I've also
that was the dream.
Yeah, that, I mean, that kind of like makes total sense now. I also, because there's so much going on in Big Little Lies, and there's so much going on in Wahala. I mean, I was like, what is, like, are these like real life instances or friends? Where did you draw the inspiration from the story?
Well, firstly, I really like flawed characters. I think perfect characters are just really boring. So I wanted my characters to be really multi-layered and to have lots of flaws. Well, they're far from perfect, but I wanted to look at women at different stages in their lives. And having friends, there comes a time in your friendship where suddenly somebody's got married and has kids and is really happy, and somebody else's career is taking off, and these sort of jealousies and rivalries and sort of questioning, what am I doing with my life and what should I be doing? I think it's quite fun age to look back on. Now that I'm way older than that, I can look back and think that was fun. At the time, it probably wasn't. And yes, little bits of me have crept into the characters. So the dropping out of medical school that I gave Simi, that was all me. And actually writing that was like doing therapy, because I hadn't actually processed how ashamed I felt, how terrible. For years I was carrying this weight of failure and shame, and I didn't realize where it come from. But writing this, it was so clear that I was that my imposter syndrome totally came from my dad's rejection when I dropped out of medical school, and from being a dropout, which was put to me as the worst thing anybody could possibly be. And there are other little bits, like my mother is white and my white grandparents wanted nothing to do with me or my siblings, pretty much because my mother had married that black man. So I thought, let's give Ronke that sort of problem.
Ronke, yes.
And even with Simi, with Boo. Boo has lots of prejudices. But I think one of the reasons why is because she's adapted so much to try and fit in that she's lost touch with who she is. So she doesn't actually know who she is or what she is. And when I first came to London from Lagos, I remember forcing myself into this shape. So I straightened my hair, I modulated my accent, I tried to be one of the white people, and I even changed my name. So my real name is Nikki, but that was much too complicated. No way could they pronounce that kind of name, even though they can say Tchaikovsky or Nietzsche or whatever. So I changed my name to Nikki. And so, but little bits of me, I've got a best friend who has this scatter cushion problem. When you go and visit her, there's like 40 cushions on the sofa and you have to knock them all off. I thought I'll give Ronke a bit of that. So it's all fiction, but you do draw on what you know. So I have borrowed bits. I think a lot of writers are like magpies. Always be careful when you're with a writer. They're watching you and they're writing things down in their little book.
And I heard that you were at lunch with friends.
Yes. So we have a group of friends called the Niger Girls, and we often meet at this Nigerian restaurant, which is very similar to Booker. I'll have to be honest, it's got really bad service. The waiters scowl at you from top to toe. The food takes ages to arrive and always arrives in the wrong order, but we love it. It's like going home. And so it was after a lunch at one of these restaurants, very, very loud, very long lunch, lots of wine involved.
Of course.
And as I was coming home, it's a 2.5-hour train journey to where I live. And I started thinking, you've always said you want to do this. This is it. So I wrote that first scene. And actually, the first scene in the book is almost identical to the scene I wrote in the train that day.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. And so, because we're talking so much about, I mean, it's set in London.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the characters, right? And how they both are mixed. They're all mixed race characters, right?
Yeah.
Balancing between the two worlds. So let's talk a little bit about the main characters, because they all think the grass is greener on the other side, right?
I think that's quite human nature.
It is human nature. It's 100% human nature. You think it's better, right? So we have Ronke. She's a dentist.
Yeah.
And she's dating Coyote. And
Yeah.
she wants the dream. She wants a 2.5 kid, you know, nice home. She wants the whole white picket fence, all that, right?
She was happy ever after, and the husband has to be father shaped.
Yes. Okay. And then we have Boo. And Boo has, like you said, she has prejudices. She wants, she has everything that Ron K wants, though. Husband, daughter, home, great job. And she's the most unhappy.
I know. But I think Boo's problems stem from never belonging. Her Nigerian father abandoned her mother before she was born, and everything, and not in a nice way. I mean, he basically left this pregnant woman abandoned, who had to run back to her parents. So Boo grew up in a white family, white stepdad, white siblings, white mother, in a white county, and believe me, there are places like that. I live in one now that's not too dissimilar, and she's never fit in. She's never felt she belonged. And if in England, and possibly, I don't know, might be the same where you are, a lot of the news that you hear about Nigeria is negative. They talk about corruption. They talk about credit card scams. They talk about cheating husbands. They talk about famine or poverty or people trying to be illegal immigrants. Occasionally we get a good sports person and suddenly we love him, but he's no longer Nigerian at this point. He suddenly becomes British the minute he does anything good. So Boo has lived with this backdrop of negativity about Nigeria, about Nigerian men. And the first Nigerians she's met are Boo, Ronke and Simi. And even in Ronke's case, Ronke doesn't have the greatest track record of choosing good boyfriends. So she's watched Nigerian men do horrible things, steal her money, cheat on her. So she's definitely prejudiced. There's no doubt about it. But to me, it's clear to see where these prejudices are so effect. I think Didier would be quite an annoying husband. He's almost too nice. But even with Didier, she feels disconnected because he's so comfortable in his French skin and he's so comfortable in himself. And in some ways, this gets to her. And then she has this precocious, gorgeous daughter who is totally happy being quarter Nigerian, quarter French, half English. You know, she's just totally comfortable in her skin, making Boo feel even more like an outsider. And my girls made lots of mistakes and Boo made some pretty big mistakes, but I think it was also quite fun seeing what's the worst thing you can do to each of these women.
So that was fun. Okay, Miss Duke got two more. Simi, she's like the girl next door.
She's the golden girl.
Yes, but she struggles with imposter syndrome. And do you think that's something a lot of women have to deal with or struggle with, because, you know, we're always in the balance of trying to be everything for everyone, work, family, home, just in society? Is that something you think that women just in general, especially Black women?
I think I'm yet to meet a woman who doesn't have it. I know that sounds ridiculous. Well, you know, I've got friends who look so successful, so polished, so together. But occasionally when you get them one-on-one after a couple of glasses of wine, you find out that deep inside they're battling these huge fears and phobias and worries. So yes, I think certainly all writers I've ever met have imposter syndrome. Almost all women I've ever met have imposter syndrome. And it's actually a really negative emotion because it does rob you of a lot of enjoyment. And it's but yes, I think I would say most women, most Black women, definitely.
Yeah. And then the final woman in this story. Oh my God, Isabel.
Yeah.
How did you write her? Because I literally was screaming. She was a piece of work.
She is a bitch.
I didn't want to say it, but okay, you said it.
She was such fun to write. I mean, bad characters are a lot more fun. But the funny thing about Isabel is I know a few Nigerian people who are so privileged, so ridiculously wealthy, and it's ill-gotten gains most of the time, but they honestly feel they can get away with anything.
Yes.
They honestly are so privileged that they think they can walk all over everybody, they can buy whoever they pick. And there's one thing Nigerians are really good at, and that's flaunting their wealth. So she's quite happy to go around spraying money all over the place, driving around in her big car with the dark windows and her bodyguard. So she was a joy to write. I know I must be quite an evil person inside, because I had so much fun writing Isabel.
I just could not believe, you know, like you said, the trouble. Wahala is another trouble, right? That's what it means, trouble. And she was the trouble.
She was the trouble, and that was her job. Her job was to propel the narrative, so that we're all thinking, why? What is her deal? What is Isabel's deal? Why is she doing this?
And infiltrates this, you know, a decent, tight-knit friendship. And I just want to know how was writing that, because I kept thinking, like, okay, how are they not understanding what's going on? You know, I guess we all fall into the traps where,
well, the thing is, as readers, we were really lucky that we could be in each of these girls' heads. So as the reader, we had this bird's eye view. We could see everybody. We could see that we knew it all. We had a God view.
Yes.
But these women only saw what they saw. And because Isabel was pushing the right buttons and playing with she knew exactly where their weak spots were. So they were confiding in Isabel things that they didn't confide to each other. Mm-hmm. And so she was finding it really easy to manipulate them, because she knew that Simi had this terrible imposter syndrome. So she knew that she could push her towards, oh, what about this great new job? She knew that Simi didn't necessarily want kids, so she could manipulate her in that way. She knew that Boo was dissatisfied with her life. She knew that Boo wanted more, even though she couldn't actually communicate what this more was. So she could make her feel that perfect Didier wasn't as perfect as she thought, as he was pretending to be. And the only person she couldn't really get to is Ronke, because Ronke was the one that was comfortable in her skin.
She was.
Ronke had a much better sense of her identity, a much better sense of self.
And she couldn't understand, like, why she was comfortable in her skin, because she just couldn't understand it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's so juicy. I mean, and I listened to the audiobook, which totally.
Oh, I've only listened to the first chapter. I don't know why I can't bring myself to listen to it, but people say Natalie did a brilliant job.
Amazing job. I mean, it just brings the story to life. I listen to audio anyway, so when the narration's perfect, it brought the story to life for me. It was.
Oh, she's lovely. We talked on the phone a lot, because she is also half Nigerian and half British, and she also grew up in Nigeria and now lives here. So she felt the story. She enjoyed being seen herself. So hopefully that showed in the narration.
And so I want to talk a little bit about, because this is a thing I hear sometimes, is when American writers are reading about women that are Nigerian and British, the colorism that comes through. And I just think it's something where if you haven't been to England, or if you don't know much about the culture, you don't understand the way that it's kind of how they collide, how the cultures collide, being Nigerian and being British, or any two cultures. So can you talk a little bit about how it creates how they're more pronounced when especially where, in London and then in Nigeria?
Well, growing up in Lagos, I mean, I had a lovely upbringing. I loved as a mixed race person in Nigeria. You were always aware of your color, but there was no racism. So people would call you Oyinbo, which means yellow or means white, but it was never done there was no nasty undertone. It was often a cheerful, hello Oyinbo, it was a kind of nice thing. So you were totally aware of that you weren't the same as everybody else, but you were very welcome to very belong, except there's a section of men who sexualize yellow women. I mean, they just wear like notches on a bedpost. And we're also seen as, because we have that Western bit to us, we must be looser, we must have lower morals, we must be, so there is definitely, I wouldn't call it a stigma, but there is a thing that people sometimes put on us.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came to London and I discovered racism is a thing. And it was a big shock because Nigerians are very arrogant. So there's a kind of, really? You think you're better than me? I mean, seriously? It was a real wake-up call. And colorism, I think Lupita said it really well when she said it's the daughter of racism. It's insidious, it's terrible, but it's true, it's there. And to be honest, Black people propagate it as much as white people. So, you know, it's kind of, Black people can have isms too. It's not something that we're immune from. So I didn't actually want to hammer people on the head with issues. I just wanted to lay out the facts. This happens.
Yes.
Do mixed race people benefit from closer to white privilege? Probably. Do we have a shitload of other problems that come along with it? Yes.
Yeah.
Because the truth is you're not Black enough, you're not white enough, unless of course you're being too Black or you're being too white. So it comes with its own pile of shit that you have to deal with. And I just actually wanted to show this is how it is. I didn't actually want to make a judgment on whether it's good or bad. And I certainly didn't want to solve it, because if it was solvable, it would have been solved. This is just a real fact that people live with.
I love the way that you addressed it in the book. I mean, it's just like, here it is. These are the characters. This happens every day. I really did. I mean, you didn't shy away from it, but it wasn't like it was like a central overarching for you know, it was there. You knew it was there. Even the bits about the hair, because you know what we go through with our hair.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I got a lot of stick. I remember there was somebody saying, how could you write about good hair? And that's such a terrible thing to say. And it's like, hello, it's a fact. Yeah. I remember that I have so many friends. I'm like, oh God, you've got good hair. Yeah. I say it to people. It's kind of, it is real life. We do say things like this. You know, it's kind of what I was trying to do is show how things are and how women really talk. Because the truth is, women can be bitchy, and you can actually be bitchy about people you love, and you can still love them. You know, I can say things about my friends, but if you said it, but like, hello, excuse me, you know, you're not allowed to do that, but I'm allowed to say it if, you know, because I'm saying some nice way, because I still love them. So I wanted to show that whole warts and all, and show that, you know, we're not 100% sweet women. We do have darker sides too.
Everyone does. Everyone does. Can you talk a little bit about? Hold on, let me find them. You talked about the culture, especially in Nigeria, like when you're talking about the idea of women not wanting to have children, like Simi, you know, how that's portrayed, you know, in her Nigerian culture. You know, I think that it's, you know, stressful when you're trying to satisfy the cultural norms versus, you know, what you want personally. And so
being a woman is complicated wherever you are. I mean, being a woman it's bloody hard work. And society has all these expectations on us, from how we look to how we dress to what we do to our reproductive organs.
Yes.
But if you refract that through a biracial lens, it is even more complicated. When I go to Nigeria, I'm like, what do you mean you don't have children? I mean, there's only 3 reasons you can't have children. You're barren, you're mad, or you're both. There cannot be a situation where you just thought, our children aren't for me. It's just impossible for many people to process that thought. And things are changing, but very slowly. I mean, really slowly. I still get seen as odd, and I still chat. When I was there a couple of months ago, I'm chatting to 26-year-old women who are feeling pressure from their families to get married and have kids. Yeah. And to me, 26, you're a baby. There's no rush. You can chill a bit. So I think that I think there's pressure here. But if in Nigeria, the pressure it's exhausting and it's daily.
Yeah, I think people look at women, if they're in their 40s, they haven't been married, if they don't have kids, and, you know, think that something's wrong versus maybe that's not what they want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh gosh, this book has so much. So what was your most enjoyable thing to write? Because there's so much.
Oh, I loved writing Sophia's birthday party. I really enjoyed it. I could almost see it there. And there's a meeting of two people in that scene, which I think I've been anticipating it, and I think readers were anticipating it too, and I really enjoyed writing that. And I love the big party at Sky Garden, because it was just, I actually don't like parties. I certainly don't like having them, because you have that nobody's going to turn up, and but it was so nice planning this imaginary party, and planning all the food, and planning the wardrobes, and planning the big cake, and the dancing and the bands. And obviously the lovely thing about writing is you've got this unlimited budget. So Simi's wardrobe, I could do anything I wanted. No target for Simi. You know, we were going designer clothes from top to bottom. So it was quite fun just getting into their heads and making up these worlds for them. And sometimes I could actually see it visually. So when I was writing the big party scene, it was almost like I'd look up and I'd see it, and I'd just quickly get my head down and type what I could almost see in my mind. So those bits were really good fun.
For me, the hairdresser scene.
Oh, Fifi! I love that.
So good. Can you talk a little bit about it without giving too much away? Because it's a good scene.
Oh, it's such a good scene, and I don't think that's a spoiler at all, because it doesn't. Okay, good. It's, you know, but it's wonderful scene. So Boo has decided out of nowhere. Well, actually, Isabel has suggested to her that what she needs to change things up, to find herself, to refresh her life, is to have this blaxploitation weed. Now, I've got an afro, but we're talking a proper big, you know, Pam Grier, real crazy afro. So she goes with Ronca's hairdresser, called Banana Braids by Fifi. And I have been to hairdressers exactly like this, and I have met characters like Fifi, and she's having her braids done. And Boo is quite an uptight person, and she's quite a prejudiced person, so she's kind of freaking out in this salon. She's used to going to salons where you book an appointment and you arrive and they give you a cappuccino and, you know, you sit there and they give you a head massage, and that's not happening at Fifi's. No. So she's like freaking out of her comfort zone, and Ronke then tells them the gist about Auntie Kayode getting carjacked in Lagos. And this is just that I hear every other day. If I phone Nigeria after this call, I will have some auntie or another telling me about this terrible thing that happened to her. And Nigerians love gist. We love to make it dramatic and add in a little bit more excitement and exaggerate. It's funny because when I was going back 2 months ago, I had my English friend saying, "Aren't you scared? Aren't you frightened?" I'm like, frightened of what? I'm going home. But to some people, the thought of Nigeria, the thought of carjacking, but if you're in Lagos, this is just life. This is just everywhere. Hassle. This is just getting on with it. This is just day to day doing your thing. So I love that scene. It was really good fun. Buy the book just to read that scene.
Oh, I mean, it's so much. I mean, I'm going to come to the part that just totally. So what was the hardest character to write? I mean, you said that, you know, like talking about dropping out of medical school, was Simi hard to write?
It was really hard because it was honestly confronting. In order to make her character three-dimensional, it felt like I had to explore bits of me that I had totally chosen not to explore. And I'm 57, so this all happened, you know, more than 30 years ago. But it was really, it took me back. It made me realize that crushing sense of failure, of being a disappointment, how it impacted my life for years. Even when I was a really successful managing director of a top advertising agency, deep inside, I still felt like a disappointment, like a dropout, like a person who'd let their family down. And it was actually quite cathartic to write that for Boo, and to show that sort of, I'm very much that wears this facade of everything's fine, and it's very few people, only people who are really close to me can tell when Nikki's actually struggling at the minute. You know, she's putting this face on. So that was interesting to write. And endings are hard. I think my ending might be accused of being a bit fast. It's hard to end a book.
The ending. I'm thinking I need a sequel. The shocker in the book. Okay, I'm going to tell the audience for people that are joining, we're talking to Nikki May, the author of Wahala. If you have not read Wahala, you need to read Wahala. Let me pull mine up. The cover is absolutely gorgeous.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's beautiful. How much say-so did you have in the cover? And then the UK edition. You got to bring that one close so we can see that one. I love that cover too.
The UK cover is so different.
It's so different.
Completely different. It couldn't be more different, really. But I love them both.
They're both gorgeous. So what input did you have into both the covers? This one's gorgeous.
You pretty much don't get any input at all. I have to say, in the UK, it was, this is your cover. You love it, don't you? Like, luckily, I do. In the States, my editor, Kate, was a lot more collaborative. So we looked at different, there was sort of, she knew she wanted a design. She knew she wanted to use the Ankara fabric, which is a really important fabric in the whole of West Africa and plays quite a big part in the book. And then it was about thinking of which fabric to use. And to be honest, the good thing is I really trusted them. And I think this comes out of working in advertising as well. I didn't want to be that client who knows better than the expert. I didn't want to be that client that said, oh, but pink's my favorite color, make it pink. And so I really lucked out, which I got. I think it's beautiful.
It's absolutely gorgeous. And someone in the comments said, wait till you see the paperback. And so I'm thinking that's somebody on your team. I'm like, okay, I need a copy of the paperback.
I can't wait to get my hands on the paperback. The paperback cover, the US paperback cover is banging. It is so beautiful.
So when is that coming out?
27th of December.
Okay. Perfect. I'll put that in my notes. So I'm going to go back. I'll start talking about the cover. I got to go back to the ending. We're not giving anything away, but as a reader, you know, you always feel like you want more if things are not tied up into a perfect bow. But you have such a shocking turn that I was like, what the F is what? And what? And then it goes on. I'm still waiting for something. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
This happened.
It happened. Are we getting more, or we just have to live with it?
You're going to have to live with this. You know, the truth is, some people have said the end is very unsatisfactory. And I actually now say, well, write your own end then if you think it's that easy. But also, life often ends with people falling off a cliff. Life doesn't always end with sweet bows and everything wrapped up and everything put away beautifully. So also, to be perfectly honest, it's my first book. And I didn't actually know that much about genres. I was just writing the book I wanted to write. So I kind of melded a beach read with a thriller, with a psycho. I've sort of melded a few things together, which had I known then what I know now, I might have thought, no, let's just go in one direction. But I don't think, even if I could go back now, I don't think I would change the ending. I really don't. I think I'm Nigerian. I like a bit of drama in my drama. We have Nollywood, we have chaos, and that's what I wanted.
It's definitely chaos. I mean, you nailed that. It's definitely chaos. I don't mind. I think like people are like such critics, but I think that, you know, everybody has a preference. I didn't think it was rushed. I just thought, man, I want more. I just want to see what else. Like, I wanted to know more about Fifi. I just wanted, there's, you know, and I think that's what sometimes.
It means you want more trouble.
I know. Right. And so I think like when you're reading, you know, that's just a reader's preference. It doesn't make it, to me, I enjoyed it. I would want to experience it again. So if there's anybody in the comments who hasn't read, I think I saw my friend Kyla who said she hasn't read it. I'll buddy read it with you again, Kyla. So you talked about being a reader.
One thing that's quite exciting is the BBC are making a TV series of Wahala, and they might change the ending. I'm sitting there thinking, I wonder what they're going to do with it. I cannot wait to see it myself, because they often change things a bit in TV, and I get no say. I mean, they can do whatever they like with this. So maybe people will get a wonderful, happy ending. Who knows?
And so I saw that it's being made into a TV series. How awesome. Congratulations. But when you're reading it, it is the messiness and drama that people want on television.
And also, how good is it going to be to have 4 strong Black women fronting a show, front and central, not sidekicks, the key roles?
Yes, the key roles, not someone's friend or love interest.
Exactly.
They're the main characters. Yes.
I think that's going to be great. I think we need, and there's so many wonderful Black actresses that I just think these are 4 juicy parts for them to get their hands on.
So I saw you know how they always do like comparisons when people's books come out. Oh, this is just like Sex and the City. Now, while I love Sex and the City was not diverse at all.
No. Except when they did that reboot and suddenly every other character.
That's it. Every other character. Then it was like, oh God, we forgot about y'all many moons ago that you existed. So now we're gonna put all of you guys in in the reboot.
Really?
So, yeah, it was, and I watched the reruns of it when it comes on. I'm like, wow, I love this show, and this show does not have not one single person of color in it.
And what's weird about it, it's set in New York. I've been to New York. There are Black people in New York.
Yes, and I even look when they're walking on the sidewalk. I'm like, I don't see anybody walking by on the sidewalk. It's like there's no one. So I don't like that comparison. As far as the mess and the things that people go through in their friendships and just in daily life, I get that comparison, but I definitely think this is much more diverse. It's like, it is about brown Black women. And that's what I love about it. I really do.
And they're living their best lives. This is
They
also
are
like,
living
they're living their best lives. They're eating in wonderful restaurants. They're wearing wonderful clothes. They've got nice houses. You know, we're not the cleaners. We don't have to be pigeonholed.
Yes. And I love that you show us. And I had said this in something else that, you know, you're showing that it doesn't always have to be trauma. You know, it doesn't have to always, you know, we go through pain, we experience love and, you know, losses and things like that. What are you reading? Because you said you read a book a week. So I want to know what you're reading, and then I want to know some of your top book recommendations.
Today, I just finished a book called Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad. Now, this book is brilliant. It's short stories. I think they're about 10 short stories. And I was reading it with my mouth open, and I just literally sped through it. I'm going to have to read it again because it's so good.
What's it called again?
It's called Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad.
Okay.
Which is such a fabulous title. It's a really excellent book. One of the best things about being a writer, it might even be the best thing, is you get sent loads of books. So you get loads of books before they come out. So
yes.
I've got a to-read pile that is staggeringly high. And it does mean that I have to actually make time to read books I want to read rather than reading books that other people want me to read. So I'm reading, the book I'm going to start tonight is Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. Yes. And he's a wonderful writer. I love everything he does. But I've been writing my book too, and I've been putting off reading him because he is so good that he would make me feel inadequate. He would bring that imposter syndrome crashing down on me in spades. So now that I'm editing, I thought, well, I'll give him a go. Maybe it'll just make me aspire to do better. So I'm reading him.
I'm writing them down.
But in terms of favorite books, sorry?
I know people were asking, somebody please write this down. I'm writing the book recommendations down. So go ahead.
The books I love most in the world, you know what, Jamise? If you ask me this tomorrow, I will have a completely different answer to the answer I have today. But Kylie Reid's Such a Fun Age, I love that. I thought it was really entertaining. I thought it was fresh. I adored that book. I think she's a really smart writer. And again, it was just a good, entertaining book. It was I really loved it. I thought it one of my favorite books. Yes. And a good cover as well.
Great cover.
Really lovely cover.
Let me tell you, the grocery store scene, I thought about everything I would have said and done. And
exactly. With hindsight, it's always really easy.
I don't think I would have been able to be I literally would have lost it. But at that moment, I was like, okay, I can't wait to see where this goes. And I really enjoyed this book.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to see what she does next. So that's a really good book.
Okay.
I also read quite a lot of YA. So a book called We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. Really loved it. She's got a prequel, I think, that's come out, but I haven't read it because I love that book so much, and I'm worried that it will spoil it for me. But I will read it.
I read that a couple of years ago. Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll give you one more, which is, I think, a book that everybody should read by the legend that is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And Half a Yellow Sun is almost perfection in book form. I mean, you read it and you weep. I've read it 3 times, I think. And it's wonderful. It also made me a bit ashamed because being Nigerian, you'd think I'd know a lot more about the Civil War because I was alive in that war. I was living in Nigeria. And I knew so little, and it's not really part of anybody's history. And it was just she's a wonderful, gifted. She's a legend. She's a goddess, and that is a bloody good book.
It is a very good book, and I think it's one I have only read it once, but I read it years ago, and I think how would I read it now at 50? How would it reflect differently?
Yeah, it's definitely worth another go.
Yeah. So what's next, if you can share?
So I am sitting here working away. This is just my book of notes. This is just files of notes. So I've written book 2. I've written 3 drafts of book 2, and I now have comments from my editors. So I'm now in that tricky stage of taking it apart, putting it back together, and trying to make it work. I've got a deadline. The other thing is book 1. You think it's hard. Book 2 is much harder because there's a ticking clock. There's somebody saying, where is it? Where is it? Give it to me. So I am locked away in my cellar and crafting book 2, which is, it's got a mixed race woman in it because I like to see myself in books. And so there's wonderful. A mixed race woman.
Yeah.
And I think I must be a very lazy writer because what I've done is set it when I was in Nigeria. Half of this book is set in Nigeria, half of it is set in England. And it's such fun to write Nigerian scenes. It's a bit like going home, writing about, actually my childhood in Nigeria. So it's a bit of coming of age. It's because you've got a mixed race person here, obviously you have to bump into race and you have to bump into colorism and you have to bump into class because that's the backdrop to our lives. But really it's about love and finding your place, and this sort of, the whole concept behind it, I guess, is love is the difference between surviving and thriving.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
And of course, there's a bit of drama because it's me, so there's going to be some drama and a bit of an epic twist.
If you started with this, you have to have some drama. You have to. Oh my gosh, I am so thrilled that that you joined. This has been a great conversation. It's perfect to end our summer reading series. You are lovely, and I cannot wait to see what's next.
I've got nail envy. I'm just looking at your nails thinking, I need a manicure. Your nails are gorgeous. And I've had such fun talking to you. You're such fun to talk to.
Thank you. And really I'm gonna invite you. I do on my Spines and Vines account, I do a literary wind down where we drink wine and talk about the book. And I would love to have you on for your paperback release. See? And I'm drinking.
Yes, please. I should be there with my gorgeous paperback. Yes, please. I would love to come back.
I'll reach out and have you on because let's talk about the paperback release, and then people who may have missed this will join us on Literary Wind Down.
Where are you based in the States? Where are you?
I am. I'm in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C.
Okay, well, maybe one day if I'm there, we can actually raise a glass in person.
Absolutely. I would love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a really
take
good
care,
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.